What's up, everybody? This is Enlightened Masculinity podcast, streaming to IMC TV right now. I am Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga and captain of IMC Nation. Captain being a rank. We have officer ranks that establish a hierarchy for the organization as you would in any big organization, any corporation, any military, anything that does anything. There's going to be ranks. And I have with us Kusei, and who's training to become officially the base leader of IMC Base 3, which is going to be the highest rank in Base 3. So I just call him the Base 3 leader. He's not officially the Base 3 leader yet, but he's higher ranking than essentially everybody else in IMC Nation, and moves and does a lot to influence the people in IMC Nation. The evolution of IMC has a lot to say about it. He's made himself indispensable and a prominent figure in IMC. In the history of IMC, he'll go down as one of those guys. He keeps at it, he'll be one of the greatest ever. And we've had him on the show a long time ago. I've interviewed Oracle a bunch of times in various other shows also, but Behavior Code, I used to call a different show and whatever. And so it's been a while. And he has a show also on IMC TV. He streams a lot. He has Telegram groups that you could find on, through all the IMC networks. And here he is from Los Angeles, Base 3, Raul Kingpin, the Godfather, aka Oracle. What's up with it, man?
What's up, brother? Thank you for that great intro. Every time you introduce me, it's a pleasure to hear the acknowledgement from the outside or what's perceived from the outside. So thank you for that.
Sure.
I know that it really means a lot because of what you do and what you represent in IMC Nation and how big you play. So it's always appreciated.
Yeah, well, the truth that I've seen is that guys in IMC, for the most part, probably 80 to 95%, a guy that's in IMC that's present. I mean, there are guys that come and go and just, they're nothing. But there's guys that just, they stick around. They're clearly in IMC Nation, a member and a contributing member, and they're part of it. They're better than essentially like 80 to 95% of all men out there. And those aren't ranked individuals. Those are just IMC regular guys. Then you got guys that are living in bases. They are above all other IMC Nation guys for the most part, probably above 95 to 98% of all other IMC guys, which are already better than most men out there. If you're living in a base, you're better than other men because of your ability to communicate and live and produce with other men that don't take shit, that are all working on themselves and don't tolerate bullshit. As you know, and then of course, if you have rank in IMC, then you're stellar. And yeah, it sometimes takes time maybe for the world around to reorganize. Oracle, you're one of those guys that you had so much going for you when you came into IMC that it's an interesting process of seeing you transmute and translate all that you had into something that is very integrated with the way you want to be. And I admire that. That's how I am. And I didn't have what you had coming into this. You didn't have what I had. We were different. And molding our abilities and talents to be indispensable and so valuable to this movement, which when I look at all movements out there, IMC is better than all movements. The only movement that I can think of that would compare would be MAGA. And not in the quality of its members necessarily, but it's so big, and I definitely support MAGA too. I'm part of it, So, but that's like on a different order of magnitude, different thing. I don't know any other movement at all, men or women or mixed or whatever. So you're winning really highly on the winning team, and so credit where credit is due. Like that's what I got to say about that, pretty much. It's the truth. The more I get to know the world, the more I appreciate guys that are in IMC because of their ability to confront situations, to confront communications, to understand their cause in situations, and a philosophy of living that makes it possible to really solve these menial obstacles in life and move on and actually grow and evolve and not deny certain aspects just to kind of shortcut and get ahead. I don't see men in IMC have that tendency too, but it's a tendency that's like pushed into us, like in our upbringing or whatever. But I see the men in IMC that they see there's a part of themselves that isn't that person looking for the shortcut. They're just looking for the right way. And we would all like it to take less effort and less time to get there. That's, I mean, that's why we're smart with our schedule and we're trying to be efficient. But there's nature's arrow. Like it's the tree's only going to grow so fast. But if, so someone like you, I respect at a high level that how much you've put on the line to be in the role that you're in is well, that's just a committed motherfucker. And he's down. He's down and he's committed and he's hustling and he's pushing. There's a lot of guys that AZD might even say he's down, and he is down. There's a guy that used to live with us that he's down. He would probably kill for IMC. I'm 99% sure he would kill for IMC. You know what I'm saying? He's down. He's hella down. And I don't think he would ever violate. Maybe he doesn't live with us anymore. He kind of disappeared. He faded. He has different ideas. He's still in the program, and I supposedly still learning. I still message with him sometimes, and he's down. There's a lot of guys that are down, but where is he? Like, he's not growing in this direction. He's ancillary. He's collateral. He's somebody on the side, and versus somebody that's really in the mix. You put yourself in the forefront. You're under the microscope and the telescope and the magnifying glass and everything more and more and more. And to stay consistent with that, with the people that rely on you and are looking at you, including your family and employees that are seeing you change and are deciding to still follow, but through your guidance, and the new people in IMC as you're leading them through base 3 and all your kusei arrangements and engagements or whatever, and then your own personal evolution, which is, I know as much as any man, if not more, the difficulty in confronting what changes need to be making ourselves to get to where we want to go. It's not easy mentally. It is easy once you make the decision. Like it's once you learn an arm bar, it's so easy, but getting it right, there's a lot of pain in the process of learning how to actually arm bar something. But ultimately you'll look back and be like, it was easy to quit smoking. It was easy to stop eating candy bars. It was easy to start this or do that. Like when you're a winner, I mean, I look back actually on winning, and it's not necessarily that it was easy, but some of those decisions, like it was an easy decision that I wanted to win. There was a lot of pain in winning. I'm not saying that the training was easy. I'm saying that the decision to be the winner and the decision to all the little decisions along the way that were ingredients to me being a winner, those were easy decisions. Then the training was hard, I don't know. I don't want to make it all about myself. I'm just saying, yeah, I totally appreciate. I recognize how involved you are and how leveraged you are. It's kind of like someone's arm barring your right arm and someone's corkscrewing your left arm and someone's trying to choke you out and someone's ankle locking you and you're holding them all down. You're actually that big and strong. You know what I'm saying? And you're shaking over here and you're shaking that one off and they're not able to get around your neck. But that's the level of power that I see in this individual man because of the leverage that he's given for other people to level up. And, what he has laid out as a trust, it's almost like the martial arts story of the person that would lay down and put the watermelon on the belly and the other one would like cut it. And they got to trust the person's not going to cut them. They're just going to cut the watermelon, Or it's like the falling where you catch the person from behind, like Oracle's doing it all. He's just like in full trust mode. And, it's easier to do that when you have less to lose. Like there was some guy in IMC that wanted to fight me. And it's like, it's easy to fight when you got nothing to lose, dude. Like you're an idiot. So there's that. Cool. So there's Oracle. We got a bunch of IMC guys that are on right now watching, and this is of course streaming. It's recorded. It's posted on all the podcast platforms. And so Oracle, what should we know? What should we know has changed in you in the last several months? What should we know about the state of IMC Nation and IMC Base 3? What are some exciting things that we should know from your perspective? Because you're this titan over there on this big mountain down there in Los Angeles, and you have a different look from where I am over here in San Jose. So what's going on, man?
Well, it's really interesting that you're going all through all these datums or points, because it's so right on point with what's going on with the progression of what we got going on, not only in Southern California, but I would say in IMC all around. Shit, where do I start? I mean, it's so true what you say. We're the movement that sees the quality of the man, the quality of the character in each man, and we appreciate that, and we look up to strong characters, not just weak characters, because we out in the real world, and this is one of my battles, is that out in the real world, I live in one of the biggest cities in the whole planet, right? And so out in the real world, in the business world, I don't care where it is you go, you get to see and witness what the character of each man is. And in the real world, you get to see how weak men really are, how weak these characters are, including women, right? Especially, right? But here in IMC Nation, we have the intelligence to be able to dissect each man's character to really see what they're capable of doing. And I think just the ability to have the intelligence or the perspective or the awareness to be able to do that, that makes you alone a very, very strong character, stronger than those characters that are not even aware. And so, yeah, that's what we got going on. We're working on a very amazing, I mean, we've taken all of your teachings, all of AZD's teachings, and we're applying them in the sense of, you know, we're running a base, we're doing the best we can. Each individual's doing guardianship. We have a system going on that AZD put together. That's the goal, is just to get everybody to understand and get to see more of what it takes to build even a stronger character, because we're all judging each other. That's the one thing I was realizing earlier, is we're all judging each other. Our minds are just judging machines, constantly judging each other, engaging. And so what happens is when a strong individual, there's an individual here in the base that's I consider really strong, that understands the technology very well, that is recent and newly a newcomer to the base, that I consider high level. However, he didn't have the ability to really put to practice what he's learned, because he wasn't at a base. And I think he wasn't even aware of that fact, because that's what it takes to really take yourself to another level. Like once you've mastered yourself, I think once you've mastered, let's say, your physicality, your eating habits, you have a very tight schedule, so on and so forth, there comes a point where you have to step out of your own routine, or out of like taking care of yourself to interact with the world. And then you have to master that, because depending on how the world responds to you is how you have to gauge where your character is, because that's what we're all doing out there, right? We're all judging each other's character. And so that's not available unless you're in this mindset around these individuals that have the same mindset. And that's really what I'm seeing here is the growth of IMC Nation depends on what we're doing, not only at base 1, but what we're doing at base 2, base 3, base 4, and base 5. I don't know what's coming together at the other bases, but what we got going on here at base 3 and how much influence we have here in the Southern California section of the US, or whatever you want to call it, the planet, it's big. It's really, really big and really instrumental. And I don't think a lot of people get to witness what's really going on at base 3. So that's what I got to say.
What's really going on at base 3?
We're really diving deep into what you just said, right? Which is, we're men that want to grow. We don't want the bullshit. We don't want that cookie cutter going in. I always refer to like the real estate world, right? Or the business world, where, for example, if you join a multi-level marketing company, they're always encouraging you to strive for more, better yourself, become a better individual, speak more, step outside your comfort zone. These are the words that they speak of or talk about in the business world, but it's all bullshit, because they're not calling each other out in the sense of like, no, like you're not doing this. Like, why are you not losing weight, for example? Like, that's one of the biggest goals for everybody, I think, all over in humanity, for each adult, each human being, is I know that I'm capable of creating something better with my own physique, with my own body. And so why can't I do that? Right? A lot of individuals know that they have a potential of a higher potential, but they're not doing it. And they lose themselves in whatever stories they're saying to themselves in their own head, and they don't get it done. I mean, I'm number one guilty of that. And so in IMC Nation here at the base, now we're really diving deep into the core root as to why we're not seeing that. So we're asking questions. We're asking the tough questions, like, brother, why are you not doing this? What's going on with that? We would have to talk about a specific example to shine more light on exactly what it is we're doing. But I'm very excited. And the last, what I can say and what I can mention is, in the last few days, last few weeks, ever since Ambu has joined Base 3, we put together a plan where now we're meeting with each individual that's not only a resident at Base 3, but associated with Base 3. And we're really asking the tough questions. You know, where's your money at? Where is your physique at? Where is your process at? Where is your commitment to your contribution to IMC Nation? So on and so forth. And I think these are the real tough questions that need to be asked, that don't get asked. Everybody just shows up to class. Everybody listens to the data. Everybody goes home and applies it to the best of their ability. And no one's really cross-checking their work. Like, how do I know I'm on the AZD process if I'm not checking with the strongest guy, Yogi Chris, if I'm on the process or not? What is he doing that I'm not doing? That's what I know. And we're going through those tough questions, and we're really developing a nice system here at the base. I'm excited about it. And man, I really see the creation. I really see the results already.
Yeah, that's great to hear. A lot of the guys in Base 3, people may not know, they're in business with each other. There's projects, there's a clothing line, there's even collaborations with people outside of Base 3, you know, videography projects and boot camps, pickup related. And, you know, there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of guys in Los Angeles. And I was just talking with one guy today. He's on Midday Gospel, the morning program, and he's been around for some time. He was a student of another coach. You know, he was called out the other day, and that's kind of just where the teachings are at right now, is like you were saying, like calling it out and, you know, confronting those situations or character or qualities or what have you. And I was asking him, he hasn't replied yet, but I sent him a message. I was like, is there a reason why you haven't gone around the guys in Los Angeles? And especially Base 3, that's who I'm, you know, really referring to. And so there's probably at least half a dozen to a dozen guys that I know that they've done boot camps online. Maybe one or two of them have come in person. They're around LA. They're not going anywhere. Like what is it? You know, and people have a reference. Like, there was a girl hanging out with me the other day, and she was afraid to say something. And she said that she was afraid to say something. And I was like, what are you afraid of? And have I, like, you know, have you ever been hurt by telling me something? Have I ever hurt you? And it was like, no. And so it's some memory from before me. It's somebody else that did that. And then I'm, you know, and so I think that's what's going on with the guys. Maybe they tried to a certain men's group or a certain men's movement, or they tried some pickup wingmen, or they just tried to have guy friends, you know, just growing up or whatever. They just got betrayed left and right and hurt left and right. And so they don't want to, they're protecting themselves from that. And they also know that they may have caused some of that bullshit, that they didn't know how to get along. They didn't know how to contribute, that they were too awkward or weird or whatever. And so they're saving themselves that embarrassment. And, you know, they'll rationalize it, say it that, you know, I don't want to lower your guys' value. I don't want to bring, I don't have anything to contribute, whatever. And that's the reason for not coming around. Well, okay, good. At least you're aware of that. But, you know, we're in that situation where that's that own person, that's that person's evolution. That's their karma. And if in just a few words, a few text messages, even if it may come across harsh or it may come across pointed, or may come across confrontational. If it just takes me a little bit of effort to help that person chop through and just cut right through that bullshit, then I would be very interested in having another strong brother. But I'm not interested in having, a weak pansy. Like there was somebody, he's an IMC, he was on my staff, and I called him a bitch the other day, and I felt bad about it. It was the first time I had called a man a bitch and like really meaning it. Like that's bitch behavior. And like not an angry. It was very interesting. That's what it is. I wasn't angry. It was because he didn't post these. He has a job to do some postings, and he didn't do it because he's on his phone too much and he feels like he's addicted to it. And so he wanted to do it on his laptop, but he just didn't, and he just didn't. And it was like, and I repeated it back to him, and he repeated it back to me. I was like, I gotta tell you, bro, that's bitch. That you just said that you didn't do the job because you're addicted to using the cell phone, but you're using it 3 hours when you get home. That's just all bitch. And I'd already gone through the process of asking, who comes to mind when you think of addicted to cell phone? Who comes to mind? What's the first person that comes to mind? I thought he was going to say his mom or sister or something. He said nobody. He said himself. I tried it a few different ways. He kept saying himself. I was like, okay, this isn't going the way I thought. I thought he was going to name some woman in his life, because I was like, where did you get that idea of addicted to your cell phone? Maybe if he had said anybody, it would have been a beta man. It doesn't matter. Like, I was like, that's a bitch concept. A man doesn't have that problem. You do your job and then you use your cell phone as much as you want. There's no such thing as addicted to your cell phone. Here's what you could say. My thumbs are tight from using my cell phone all day. Here's what you could say. My eyes are sore from looking at my cell phone all day. I mean, those are like legit physical things you could say, but I'm addicted to my cell phone. I might as well just be saying, like, I hate using my cell phone, but I just keep using it because I can't stop. But like, oh man, you can see how weak that is. So I'm not interested. Like I said that to him, and I almost hit up another guy that seems to have showed some interest in doing his job. But I'm going to give him a week because we meet weekly. And so I said what I said, and he has until next week. And if he doesn't do it, then I'm going to replace him. And that's just what it is. So, whew.
And I think that's something that needs to be confronted, especially if you're living at a base, because we do see those type of behaviors that individuals have, including amongst us, right? And so we need to find a way to say, hey, brother, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? You committed to this. You gave me your word. For example, like just a simple podcast, right now, I gave you my word that I'd be here on time. So I have to make sure that I'm being held accountable first and foremost for myself, and then for you, that I'm here on time. And then that's the thing that's the cancer that I see out in the world, is that it's something as simple as being on time. You get me? And so that needs to be corrected. And if it's happening at a base, it needs to just be eradicated, period. Like there's no excuse for that.
Dang, that's some high standards, man. And that's healing the world through men. Like I was explaining to some girl, I was like, each man, and he's the sun and the planets and the women and whatever, and we're changing the world through the men and their women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So right on. Are there any questions? We have a big audience. Are there any questions for Oracle Kingpin about leading a base, starting a base, the decision to go from business into a base? You were a family man. You lived with your family, and you moved into a base with your brother also. And you also have maybe would you tell us a little bit about, I'm curious about your IMC TV show. How's it going? How's the dialogue? What's it like? What's it about even?
Well, I gotta say that it's a very easy segment for me. I think that sometimes I take it for granted that I need to put in maybe more effort into it to give more value. The reason why it's so easy is I have Powerhouse. I have Chris Lopez contributing to it. These two guys, including myself, are extremely knowledgeable in life, period, and especially business. So we get to flow for a good hour. It's going great. We've been consistent. We're committed to it. Now it's gone to a point where now what else can we do to bring more value? How can it evolve? How can it become better? And so that's really what it is. And I think it's a great starting point for a good IMC TV spot. I don't know where we rank amongst including amongst IMC TV episodes from other individuals, but I feel very confident. I feel very confident that I think we're in the top three at least.
Yeah, you're in the top 3 or 4. It would be me, you, or you, me and your show, Guerrero's show, and then definitely Ryan G and Script Show, which seems to do really, really well. People like that. They have a following. They're probably the top, and then it's kind of amongst us 3. And that's great. You know, there's this balance between, you could like Google business topics or trending business topics or things like that, that would probably get more discovery and more views and whatever, versus this other strategy, and maybe they could overlap, and that would be golden. This other strategy, which is the guys in IMC, what are their business questions? What do they need help with business? And are they showing up to the stream? And in that way, your energy flows back to IMC in a way that IMC grows in that way. The other way of being trendy and getting new views, the IMC also grows. It's just, it's more the mouth end of the funnel. It gets discovered by a bunch of people that don't know anything about IMC, and maybe a very small sliver of them will eventually be somebody in IMC, versus guys that are already really close. Like I was telling Sultan, any guy you get from TikTok over to Instagram, because you got to get them off the TikTok into Instagram to do anything with them, because no links are clickable in TikTok, and they're so distant from AZD. AZD posts on Instagram, that's where you should be. And I was like, you get one person from TikTok to Instagram, that's better than a new Instagram follower, because the new Instagram follower doesn't know anything. But to get somebody to switch apps from TikTok to Instagram, that's worth like probably 5 Instagram followers. You know, so working with somebody that's already, even if they're a beginner in the IMC programs, is better than some newbie on YouTube or whatever that just found the channel or whatever. That's a know-nothing. We have a I have a word with Sultan. We call them know-nothings. Those guys are know-nothings. And well, anyway, we found it fun. So okay. Where do we take this? You know, what would I be interested about at base 3? What do you think? I'm curious about base 3. Every base has its own kind of unique gambit or angle that it is, what it's about. What are some of the features? I've never asked you a question like this, or anybody. I don't think I've asked anybody a question like this. What are some of the features of base 3? You could talk about the real estate, or like the location of it. What are some of the features of the activities that you regularly do if you were at base 3? You're familiar with all the bases in IMC as a whole. Like, what distinguishes base 3 as an attraction? Like, if we were at a carnival and somehow all these 5 bases were near each other, so you could choose, do I go to this base, that base, this base, that base? What would be base 3?
Well, definitely, it's creating business. That's what it is. It's we're about creating business in the sense of each individual here is beginning to either start a business or see that their ultimate path is going to be to be in business for themselves. And so what we do is we take a look at where the individual is and their quote unquote goals. And then we suggest. I am the first one to start suggesting. Powerhouse is great at doing this, which is, hey brother, like you really like doing this. You really love doing this. You're really about this. What if you did this to make a business out of it? And so that's where we're going. That's where we're headed. And I think that's the exciting piece of base 3. Other than that, I mean the fun you get to have when you have the ability to generate your own income. And control your own income and do all that and have the freedom, the time freedom to do what you like. On top of that, I think that's another very attractive piece of base 3 is that, for example, Powerhouse, myself, we're in a position, a very unique position where we can focus on being creative, and we don't have to worry about paying rent at the end of the month. That just is where we are. We're very fortunate, and I want that for everybody. at IMC Nation. Whoever is IMC Nation, I want that for everybody. That's what I really work towards. I think that's very attractive for sure.
Yeah, what do you think is, I mean, do you see that the people in IMC want that for themselves? Are they aware?
I don't think everybody is there yet necessarily. The individuals that say that want that, I don't think they quite understand what it takes to be there and how much work it goes into it. But you know, it doesn't matter where you are. It's just it's a matter of plugging in with individuals that are doing something that are doing bigger than you are. Ultimately, I want to be around individuals that are smarter than me, more agile than me, that I can learn from. And so that's what it is.
Is that your like most key advices for these guys? Is one, they need to recognize it's more work than they think it is, and two, they need to plug in with people better than them in different ways?
For sure, brother. That I think is the biggest weakness in humanity, period, especially men, is strong men tend to think that they got it all figured out. And that's the biggest fucking weakness I see among strong men, is that no, bro, you don't have it all figured out. Because if you had it figured out, you would have everything that you want in life. You would have all the women that you want in life. You would have all the time freedom that you want in life. You would have all the influence that you want in life.
Yeah, but they're on their way, Oracle. They're on their way.
Yeah.
They're figuring it out. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes time. They got it down in the minds. They just got to manifest it.
No, brother. It's a constant cycle of doing that, of understanding the information and applying it and constantly testing yourself, going in and sparring, right? As you like to use a reference of fighting, hey, you got to go in and spar and check to see how big of a champion you really are in whatever arena you want to grow. And for me, I think, again, that's the biggest weakness in each man. We need to be realistic about shit. If you don't have 6 months worth of savings in your bank account, then you're not financially free, for example.
Shit, I'm
You
not
get me?
financially free. Fuck, Jesus.
So, or I hate that standard, because I don't agree with saving. But let's say if you're not on your way to building a business, then you're weak financially. You're a liability. You're dependent. You're a slave ultimately. You need to have the creative in you. Has to come out so that you generate freedom in your ability to spend where you want to spend and spend time wherever you want to spend time.
Dang. This is an easy question. Where do you like to spend? Where does Oracle like to spend, and where does he like to spend time?
Now it is definitely on myself, man. I really, really see that wealth is in your health. Because it doesn't matter where my wealth is if my health doesn't allow me to take advantage of my wealth. So my love right now is just my process, taking care of what I like to do, which is right now, I see the gym or working out or lifting weights as a form of yoga, believe it or not. I really practice it as an art. So that's where I like to spend my time in figuring myself out to that level. And then the other part is, which goes hand in hand with that too, is creating results in game. When we as a base go out and hunt on the weekends, what we'll call the midnight hunt,
Yeah,
which
this
is
is a public
basically us going
podcast.
out.
Yeah, so that sounds so predatory.
Yeah, I know, right? But
Yeah.
that's you know,
That's the inner language. That's the inner language.
yeah, that's the inner language.
So ladies, I know all my ladies watch this podcast. I don't know if they'll watch this one, but that's the fucking lingo. That's the midnight hunt with the guys, fucking pack of werewolves. And what better for any unsuspecting woman out there to be swept up by us versus any other guy who's actually a predator telling you he's docile, safe.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, it's the truth. It's not predatory in the sense of like, oh, I'm gonna go utilize my force on someone to hunt. We're talking about a hunt of intelligence, of like playing chess. We're in a social dynamic. We're playing chess. We're waiting to see certain cues. We're waiting to see what move we can make here to position ourselves on top of the other groups that are there.
Saying like, it's not about like beating each other and fighting about it. It's just, you know, just be yourself and just get along and good vibes. Like, why are you trying to like win everything or whatever? And it's like, because she doesn't understand game. She shakes her boobies to win and thinks that because you shake your words that you're being unfair.
Exactly. And so I love that game, man. There's so much that I see in social dynamics that even the improvement that we've had from when we first started to base up to where we are now, that I love that piece. I see where each character at base is going and where their future is going to be, the influence that each individual is like gaining and the power that they're having. I just honestly see all these guys, all these men having very beautiful women, multiple women, and what's more exciting than a beautiful girl.
It's spoken from the heart of Oracle. And people on YouTube and whatever don't realize that we had 17, 16, 17 people on Zoom. They only see the people that have their cameras on. But there's a bunch of people here, guys on YouTube. You can click the link I posted there above to join the Telegram group, Instagram, you know, Telegram group for the guys or whatever. And we're going to be wrapping this up. This is obviously also on all the platforms, Apple and Spotify and all of that. So subscribe, leave a review, what have you. We'll open it up to the audience. We have some things being typed here. Have you ever considered an inter-base competitions? I don't know what kind of time guys have for like just, you know, fun and games like that. We do have competitiveness. I do. I'm hella competitive. And you know, competitiveness in terms of like your streams or your wake ups or the synergy of the base and what's being put out. Like we were just having a staff meeting with or not a staff meeting, an officers meeting earlier today, and it was well attended. There's about 15 or so officers in the in IMC Nation right now of rank, and you know, so there was a bunch of guys on, and one of the guys, Magic Man, he was checking in about what's going on, and he's new as an officer, and he's building things on the side to offer as like side value or whatever, versus his job. He has a regular job, but he's an IMC Nation member, and he's done a lot of training. And when he's reporting in about the current condition of his physical health, game, self-esteem, he doesn't use that word, but you know, his magic, because he's kind of magical with sorcery and things like that. And then he had a bunch of stuff. Man, he was just uptone, different great ideas, winning here, winning there, winning here, winning there. And I don't know how that related to what. Oh, inter-base competitions. So a lot of times stats are not so measurable. Like if you're looking to lose weight, that's measurable. If you're looking to count your macros, that's measurable. Make your wake up, that's measurable. Like make money, that's measurable. But you know, certain the stats will eventually follow. But I know, like what I do, I pour in a lot of work today. It doesn't necessarily pay me out tomorrow, but you know, over averages, my income is reflecting the work I put in the past, obviously, because that's the past tense. And so you start to feel good about that. You're doing what you're supposed to in your own estimation of what you're supposed to be doing to get where you want to go. And then we come in with this very high altitude philosophy of maybe you should readjust where you're thinking you're supposed to go. Because have you really thought about what that destination is? Like the guys that work on their business forever but don't get their game right. Have you really thought about what that's going to look like? You're 25 now. You're going to be 35 when you have enough money, and you're going to start working on game then? Man, let me tell you case study after case study after case study of guys that they don't have it in them anymore. Their testosterone's dropped too much. They're too cookie cutter. They're too over leveraged in their life where if they start changing now, they'll lose everything. Their wife has them by the balls. Their kids have them by the balls. They're fucking everything. Everybody has them by the balls. They don't even have balls. Everybody else has their balls. And the success ratio of that person here is very small. So it's see you next life, guy. Just have a nice life and we'll see you next one around. Because what are you going to do? Like, it's not going to get any better. It's not like at 40, it's going to be easier for you. At 45, at 50, it's going to be easier for you. You're just going in that direction. You go in that direction. So we come in as early as possible, give trajectory, some awareness of where you're going. And hey, man, what's your goals in life? How are you making your money? How are you going to get good, getting good with game? What's your living situation? And of course, all of these other, like when you're going to get good at game, you got to get your body right. You got to get your mind right. Like there's all these sub ingredients to that. And how are you putting your life together, guy? And, when you start to align your actions and take the actions, you feel really uptone. And the stats will eventually, if not immediately, reflect that. And, one man's stats is not another man's stats. There's a lot of guys that make more money than AZD. There's, a lot of guys that maybe, what would be an example? Like, I think there's guys on here that work their bodies and they're getting really, really good with their body. There's guys in the world that have better bodies than you. You may never be Mr. Olympia, but you're way more integrated as an individual. You have so much value in so many arenas, in such a sphere. Your volume of value is much bigger than that person who's very narrow in their value. They're just very extreme. So they have a lot of value in that dimension, but you have value in a lot of dimensions that gives you a much bigger volume, which is like, that's how I see it. And that's so cool because that's, giving value. Like some girl was saying to me, like, I go out and get girls. And I was like, no, what I do is I go out and I give value. I am valuable to men and women where I go. And so a woman is attracted to me. That's when I went into the whole like sun, moon, planet orbits. Like maybe sometimes we'll leave the table and go say what's up to a girl and open her and say, I got to go back to my friends if you want to. Like the way that we game here in San Jose, it's not us. We go out and we all disperse and go chase women and then come back together at the end of the night and like, hey, how many numbers you get? How many numbers you get? How many kisses did you get? Like, that's not what it is. So yeah, providing value. Man, I just somehow get caught up in, I'm so used to monologuing on these lectures. It's, the dialogue. Sometimes I just like, oh yeah, there's other, I'm in an interview right now. So that was all answering the question about inter-base competition. So yeah, who's most uptone? Which officers are producing the best? Who has the biggest creations? Who's going for it the most? And we talk about that. I live with the founder of IMC. So although gossip has really reduced lately because of just new understandings of gossip, it is our business to talk about the officers and so there's a fine line maybe, or a subtle line between gossip and essential business conversation. And of course, we're the agents of cool. So everything we talk about is going to be in a cool context. So we're not going to be all shirt and tie sitting around the conference meeting, giving reports on different officers. Like the way we talk about it is cool and it rolls off the shoulder. And so to an untrained ear, it might sound like gossip, but there's a fine line. When you're getting emotionally invested in talking and judging about somebody else, that's gossip. Versus here's the lowdown, here's the skinny on so and so and so and so and so and so. And what should we do about this and that and this and that? Okay, next. And so, we talk about who are the guys winning, who are the bases that are winning. Right now, base 2 is winning really well. They got the highest ratio of officers in training. And they'll probably be the first base to have a complete base of all officers. Everybody in that base has stayed residency for 2 or more weeks at base 1 and gotten by and survived. And then talked about it for 4 weeks, 20 hours of lecture on it. It's essentially what it is. You come live here for 2 weeks or more, however long it takes, minimum 2 weeks, essentially, and then lecture 20 times about it. Not just about it, but about this, what you're doing. And then you graduate. And so there's that. Okay, that's enough on that inner base. And then Saber says, how about an IMC farm? Yeah, how about it? You could start it, If anybody in IMC has that idea, I'm sure they could start going with it. There are guys in IMC who grow marijuana. They have cannabis farms. I don't know of any other kinds of farmers in IMC. Maybe a couple. There's one European actually. And there's another European actually that's very interested in having sustainable. It's very interesting. Like that would be right up my alley. He's very interested in like a sustainable kind of house with all the technologies and growing your own food and just being like your own self. And he's like in Denmark or something, and he's willing to move. He's willing to move to UK, to Amsterdam, to whatever, to start a base. And it's like, man, you're going to have to lead that shit, because that's what I was saying about Oracle. Even the guys in IMC that are known and they're around and they've been around, they still don't know how to push. They don't have that urgency. They don't have that drive. I don't know. They're too comfortable being at a distance in their situation. They're working on other things. Maybe they're still better than so many men in the world. But if you're going to create a base, man, you're going to have to lead that. Don't let anybody else lead that. You're going to man, you don't have to do everything yourself. You can delegate it, and the people that don't respond to your delegation, they're not qualified to be in your base. They're welcome to be in another base. If they could do a better job, they could start another base. So that's kind of the process. Like if you delegate and you rub people wrong and they don't want to live with you, then they don't want to live with you. And if you rub everybody wrong, then you won't have a base. But you gotta delegate at some point to weed out the weenies. So
Yeah, it's exciting because I believe we're still in a very infantile stage, or however you pronounce that, as a movement. I think one day we will have competitions. Like I can definitely see even like a sparring MMA type event happening. That sounds exciting. A pickup event where we all get together in Vegas, and then base 2 and base 3 goes to see who gets, I don't know, whatever the stats are going to be. I'm sure that'll be beautiful how it turns out to be.
yeah, when there's 300 bases, man, who knows?
Yeah.
Like Will Rios reminded me of an old teaching, and it was like, imagine, what do you want to be like, let's say by 70 or 80 years old, or what do you want the condition of your business, your life to be like? Think about it, think about it, think about it. Okay, now know that that's way too fucking small. Why are you going so small? You got to go so much bigger than that. You got to go for it. And it was like, man, I was thinking baby shit, thinking 300 bases, 1,500 guys living in 300 bases around the world. It's like, that's barely even an ant army. That's so tiny. Why am I selling so short? So when we have hundreds or thousands of bases with guys living in them, like, yeah, there's going to be some stats that we're going to be comparing and contrasting, and some statistics that we can see, and some things will stand out. And yeah, the organization, all kinds of competition, I'm sure. Phoenix, you're welcome to, suggest anything also. That's it for me. I'm done intruding.
Yeah, and what one thing you said was even as you mentioned Phoenix, I was thinking about definitely that base, or that farm, or that self-sustainable city. I think that's got to be a goal for IMC Nation, period. And so one of my goals in business is to have the stream of income to be able to provide that. I mean, I don't know how to build a windmill or whatever it takes, right? I don't know how to do any of that, but I can definitely, we're going to need some resources. So how do we get these resources to build that? So that's what I want to contribute with, and that's what I'm working towards. So I think that's something that we can all come together and really build, because everybody has some special knowledge. That's what I know. I learned from everybody.
Just curious about, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, about how many people would you say in IMC Nation are you in business with?
I'd say.
And also, I'd say, what was it, 3 years ago, 36 months ago, that number was definitely 0.
Yeah, and I don't wish to do business any other way. I'll give you an example. There's a project on hand right now that where we're going to build a construction company, and
Wow.
I see, and I've dealt with construction companies, and I've worked with construction companies in the past, and it's just any kind of normie business is a business that I'm not interested in building. There's too many variables. By variables, I mean human beings that are not on their shit. So yeah. I don't want to deal with human beings that are not on their process. So I can totally see how doing business with IMC brothers is going to be the future for sure. So a whole construction company full of IMC brothers would be like the sweet spot for me.
Yeah, Real Fam's clapping to that, because that's his industry. He works that in Sacramento. So about how many currently do you think you're working with?
Man, if I had to just guesstimate, at least 6 to a dozen.
6 to 12. Oh yeah, just man. And about how many employees do you have in your regular companies that you came to IMC? You already had that. Like, about how many employees do you employ right now?
Oh Lord, man, that's going to be a large number, about 300.
Dang, that's Kingpin. Man,
Yeah.
We should have started with that, because that's a stat everybody needs to know. Look, Charlie Pinello is smiling from ear to ear. Like, oh fuck, that dude's fucking beast. Hell yeah. Yeah, Eros is like, Jesus, man, man. All right. Well, devices are running out of juice right now. If there are any, we'll give last opportunity. If there are any other comments, I mean, you guys had opportunity the whole time. So there's no other comments, no other questions. Oracle, I really appreciate you giving us your hour. And I think the guys enjoyed it a lot. That's why so many people showed up. So when you see this episode get released, everybody, make sure, you heart it, give it some love so that it rises to the top of the ranks. We all like stats. And, I did an episode several months ago with Jordan Amari. It was one of the best episodes of all time. It was called something about living with a schedule, the schedule of success, like having I forget what it was, but somehow success and schedules, and it's all we talked about. This could be that. All right, everybody. Thanks for attending. Oracle, thank you, brother. Everybody, I'll see you on class. Jay Grudev. Os.
Awesome.